Welcome to reading negative Steam reviews. This is a quote-unquote series where I'll be reading negative Steam reviews. Who would have guessed? Now, Lethal Company, everyone knows this game. I've played so much Lethal Company that it's kind of insane. I'm on like 500 or 50 hours or something like that. So right here we see that 97% positive reviews. That's pretty good, but the recent reviews are 92% positive. So if we go into the negative reviews, you'll see why. How can you sell an early access game as a solo developer, literally doing tens of millions of dollars and then not even try to finish your game? It's one thing when it's evil corporation, but to think a solo developer uses such scummy tactics after making such a bank, and such a bank, is beyond me. Actually sad. Now, I hate kinds of reviews like this for Lethal Company that just say that they scammed their audience or something like that. The thing is, first of all, the developer Zekers is working on a different game right now. Welcome to the Dark Place or something. It's releasing later this month, actually, so that's pretty epic. I'll definitely be playing that when it releases because it's going to be free. But some of these reviews are like, oh, he abandoned the game. You know, the thing with he's just like walking on something else to prevent like burnout, pretty much. That's what it is. And saying like, oh, such scummy tactics. You cannot possibly compare the solo dev to like AAA companies because like it's just one guy, right? And there's a bunch of these kind of reviews. Developer made millions and said sayonara. This one just says friend slop, which I just hate the term friend slop in general, because calling something friend slop just kind of implies that it's bad, in my opinion. If you say, oh, that's friend slop, the term slop is pretty much just used to say that something's like, it has no soul behind it, pretty much. That's what it feels like nowadays. And that's usually how the word is used, in my experience, but here they just put a negative review and that's all they say. An expired flavor of the month game. The basic graphics work because, like the DOS games, I think it leaves something to the imagination. The important thing was the small file size. Okay. The gameplay feels chaotic though. You can get lost and lose communication with teammates, and get killed instantly when you go through a door. The gameplay feels chaotic. You can get lost and lose communication with teammates, and get killed instantly when you go through a door. They're getting killed instantly when going through a door, mainly with main entrance and fire exit. That is kind of like knock against the game. Like that is kind of a problem. Sometimes it will say like, oh, there's nearby activity, so you might not want to go in. But when it comes to from inside to outside, it won't say that. So there could be a giant or a die right out there. And sometimes the indoor activity thing, sometimes well, it's been pretty accurate, but sometimes it doesn't say it anyway. But yeah. You can get lost and lose communication with teammates and get killed. You can get lost. Yeah, you can get lost, but that's just on you to not get lost. Like, getting lost is like, that's not on the game, that's on the player, you know? And you gotta figure out how to not get lost. And lose communication with teammates? No, if you have walkie-talkies. Losing communication with teammates is literally just part of the game. That's what makes it, like, you know, that's what makes the player, like, invested in the game. Like, oh no, I can't communicate with my teammates anymore. Are they dead? Are they alive? Or, you're like, come on, that's just a basic gameplay element. The flashlight, if you even have one, yeah, you gotta buy stuff. You gotta buy them at the store if you need them. Only works about a minute. It's a bit longer than that, but oh well. Which is frustrating when so much of the environment is pitch black, while other games handle lighting systems better. Aliens vs Predator 2000 and Half-Life. Half-Life doesn't really have many dark areas, and the flashlight in that game is really generous anyway. But I've never heard of I never played or seen Aliens vs Predator 2000. It's a pretty specific example, but if you're not like used to the game and you need a flashlight, which most beginners usually are, like you kind of learn to like preserve your flashlight battery, like only use it in dark areas, not like just all the time. You gotta like preserve that, man. I can't take it too seriously. It's the kind of game to have a laugh with friends, but does anyone still play it? SteamDB says yes. A lot of people still play it. It's the kind of game to have a laugh with friends. Yeah, that's true. But that's a good thing, right? It's not necessarily like too scary, especially for me, having like 500 hours. I don't really get scared for the game anymore. But that's not like a real issue with the game. I'm not totally like, I'm not knocking the game just because it's not too scary anymore. The scariness of the game isn't like, oh, it's not scary enough, it's bad, but no. I've had fun with it, but when I tried in 2025, I only managed to get into one lobby. But the hosts seem to be kicking everyone. Yeah, to be fair, it is pretty difficult to get into public lobbies nowadays. You have to be online at specific times when there's enough people on the game, really. If you get on and at like the wrong time, if you get on at like midnight or something, or like 3 a.m. or whatever, then there's not going to be enough people like, you know, speaking your language at least, playing the game at that time. So you really gotta log on at the right time, which is less of an issue with the game, but just the fact that the game's like not as popular as it once was, right? At €850, it's more expensive than Gary's mod, and certainly offers less value than Gmod. You can't compare like Gmod, because like the thing with Gmod is that it's a game that can be played for like an infinite amount of time. There's people have been playing it since 2006 when it released. Like, you can't be comparing games to Gmod and be like, that's the base. If you're not any better than that, then you're bad. Gmod is just a totally different game from Lethal Company. There's nothing in comparison. There's such different games that you really can't compare them, I don't think. Gmod is a sandbox game where you can like mod in a bunch of things, and Lethal Company is a horror game that you play with your friends, and then you like get a bunch of loot and make a quota and whatever, whilst avoiding monsters. Gmod is the type of game that you can play infinitely, and Lethal Company, I mean, I think Lethal Company is the type of game I could play infinitely too, but less so than Gmod, I think, because Gmod has so much you can do with it, and Lethal Company is just the same thing over and over. Also, for me, like Gmod and Lethal Company are the same price, $10. But I guess this guy, they're priced a bit differently. So I think I'm done with that. It's only got one gesture, Steve Ward, and a poetry at one, I guess. Enter a never-ending cycle of death as you struggle against the janky controls, only realize each planet has the same monsters and meager selection of collectibles. What do you mean the janky controls? The controls are pretty basic. They're just WASD to move, space to jump, E to like climb on ladders and interact with stuff, shift to sprint. Like, it's pretty basic. There's like, if you were talking about a game like someone getting over it or something, and you were talking about the janky controls there, then I could see your point. But like here, there's really nothing too janky about it. Each planet has the same monsters and meager selection of collectibles. That's not even true, by the way. Like, each planet does not have the same monsters and the same collectibles. The early moons have like the basic monsters and the basic collectibles, and then like the late moons they got paid money to get to have like, you know, other monsters they gotta deal with and more expensive loot. The list of issues of this game is long and very underwhelming. Okay. Game graphics were far worse than depicted in the reviews. What does that even mean? Game graphics were far worse than depicted in the reviews. Okay. Controls were glitchy and very difficult to use. What's this problem with the controls? What do you mean glitchy and difficult to use? Since when were the controls like glitchy and difficult to use? They were pretty easy to use to anyone that's got like basic level knowledge of any 3D game. The premise was interesting, but the implementation was a stick, as watching a third-hand knockoff Mr. Bean, and to top it off, the mechanics weren't even comical to laugh at. This is a worthless game. It should not even be on Steam at all. What do you mean this should not be on Steam at all? It shouldn't even be on Steam at all. You know, like, so many games are on Steam. Steam can't just take down games because the game is too bad. Like, imagine Steam started doing that. Imagine Steam just started taking down games because it deemed them bad. Like, oh, this game, I'm gonna take it down because it sucks. Like, what? Every review but this one could only possibly be from the devs family or from bots. What? So literally every positive review on the game is either bots or from the devs family. So like every like YouTuber or whatever that plays the game and likes it, or like anyone online that says that Lethal Company's good, they're just all bots, you know, just all a bunch of ones and zeros. Or they're the devs family. You know, I must be a family member of Zeekers, actually, because I like the game. Or I'm a robot. That could be possible, too, you know. There is no way this deserves a 0.1 out of 100. There is no way this deserves a 0.1 out of 100. Yeah, there is no way that this deserves a 0.1 out of 100. It doesn't. Yeah, you're right. Okay, next review. Walking simulator with sometimes horrible, unwinnable RNG. Only play with mods beats some horrible game design choices. First of all, walking simulator. That's not even true. So, a walking simulator, I gotta pull out like the sort of dictionary term, I guess. A walking simulator is like the beginner's guide, for example. You gotta, like, just walk, just literally just walk to, like, whatever, and look at stuff, pretty much. With this game, you gotta walk, sprint, jump, you gotta platform sometimes, you gotta, like, avoid enemies, you gotta loot stuff, and then bring it back, and avoid monsters again, and buy stuff, get items. Like, there's so much more to it than just walking. So you can't possibly define it as a walking simulator. With sometimes horrible, unwinnable RNG. To be fair, the RNG can be kind of cruel sometimes. I wouldn't say unwinnable, because, like, at worst, the RNG just makes it so you gotta go to the next moon. You gotta, like, leave early, but there's no way that the RNG could make the game unwinnable. There's not even a win, technically, to the game, but only play with mods to beat some horrible game design choices. Such as? Gonna list some examples? Clearly not. Last major update was June 2024. Don't buy this game unless there's actually some work being done on it aside from life support. Once again, not true. Last major update, June 2024. Yeah, let's look at the update history right here. Okay, update right here. The same day as that review, by the way. That review said it was posted on October 4th. Same day, regular update, small updates. Then a major update about 5 months ago. Is that right? Yeah, 5 months ago. Or less than 5 months ago, because it's 31st. So a major update was right here. May this year, not June last year. What was even June last year? Even this is after June last year. You didn't even include this as a major update? This is the only update that was released in June 2024, version 55. You consider this a major update? like, I mean, the company cruiser was added. Actually, no, that was in July. Never mind. So, June 2024 was just the version 55 in the beta branch. That's it. I honestly only recommend getting it when it's near out of being early access, when it's just more popular. As right now, it's fairly bare bones. I don't know about bare bones. There definitely could be more content, but the server list is often pretty small, and even smaller when you put it to Neo. Yeah, that's true. That's true, to be fair. The only lobbies you find are either extreme lobbies, the one you have 300 plus hours or more, or the ones that just instantly kick you. Not necessarily true. It's not the only lobbies, because it says the only lobbies. You could say most, but not the only lobbies. There's more lobbies than just, like, extreme amount of playtime, or just instantly kick. And by the way, whenever lobbies just instantly kick you, it's usually because they, like, forgot to put it on friends only, which is, like, pretty dumb, but, what can you do? There's too many times you can join a plain lobby, have a mic, and then get kicked 5 seconds later. Usually it's a kid that does this. But it's happened to me in plenty of other occasions. I mean, sometimes that does happen, yeah, but it's not all the time. It's not like every single time. The server issues are also just awful. 65% of the time you try to join a lobby, it says an error occurred, which is very telling since I have, at the very least, above average internet speed. Okay, the thing with the error occurred message, that I'm pretty sure that that's mostly from people that have the mod that makes it so people can join after the lobby is opened, or they're just modded lobbies in general. So when you try to join a modded lobby and you're on and you don't have the mods, then it'll just say an error occurred. Or if you're joining a lobby that has like late company or whatever other mods that allows you to join after the first like level switch, pretty much. It's also really disingenuous how if a lobby ends whenever the host leaves, or if you get kicked, they say the server host disconnected in both cases, and only then tell you got kicked after trying to rejoin the lobby. What's up with that? Yeah, to be fair, I don't really like that either, actually. Because when you get kicked, it'll just say the host left, and if you try to rejoin, then it says you got kicked. Yeah. I do wish that it was like more clear, I guess. I don't know why it tries to hide it there, but anyways, this game, as it stands, isn't worth getting, in my opinion. I like when multiplayer games have good replayability, and by judging how many hours I have, you could argue that. But that's honestly more so because this is often a last resort for me late at night when I'm bored, rather than actually being engaging on its own. Yeah, you have 455 hours as of the review time, and you're leaving a negative review because the game is no longer replayable or something. You have 455 hours, and you like when games have good replayability, and by testing, you could argue that. What do you mean you could argue that? You don't just play a game for 455 hours and get, like, unique content the entire way through. Clearly you're replaying content, which makes it a replayable game. It's honestly more so because this is the last resort for me late at night when I'm bored, rather than actually being engaging on its own. Okay, and why would it be a last resort at night? Is it because it's, like, engaging? Like, Lethal Company, when there's nothing else to play, might as well just play Lethal Company? Like, I don't know, that's weird. Because, for what it's worth, getting better at the game makes it feel more tedious rather than rewarding. As the RNG will always be in the background and can really hate you sometimes. Yeah, the RNG can hate you sometimes. Sometimes you'll just get, like, randomly struck by lightning. Sometimes, like, you know, something can happen. Sometimes there can be, like, a spike trap that's in, like, the worst possible spot, or just a bunch of turrets, you know. All of that is without mentioning that the updates are currently few and far in between, especially now that the developer stopped and started making a new game. Again, this is posted, like, Welcome to the dark place. When is this coming out? October 14th, so by the time that this is being recorded, in 11 days. Yeah. I mean, the updates are, like, currently few and far in between, but, I mean, I still think the game is really, replayable, at least. So, this game got popular from a lot of Let's Plays, and it looks like a blast, but it's very much you need friends to play with for it to be said fun. And it's more often interactions you have with each other than it's more fun than the game itself. You don't necessarily need friends, specifically, to play it. You can't just play with randoms, and playing with randoms sometimes, like, is really fun, actually, for me at least. Playing with friends is definitely, like, the most fun way to play the game, I think. But you don't necessarily need them. It's more often interactions you have with each other that's more fun than the game itself. Sometimes that's true, actually. Because, like, you can, you know, like, have fun in the game, and then, like, I don't know how to explain it, but yeah, that is kind of true sometimes. So I'm guessing that that negative review is just because he's like doesn't have friends to play with, which is kind of sad. But oh well. Casino mod doesn't work anymore. Game literally unplayable. Okay. So the problem with this review is that it was posted on October 4th, the day that the most recent update for Lethal Company just released. The update was literally just pushed out and then instantly, Casino mod doesn't work anymore, literally unplayable. The Casino mod doesn't work because the game was just updated and the mod hasn't had time to update for the game version yet. You wanna know when the Lethal Casino update, the Lethal Casino mod was even updated for version 73? October 8th. You had to wait 4 days for the Lethal Casino mod to be updated for the latest version. How terrible is that, am I right? Literally unplayable. Had to wait 4 days for the new version and for the new like Lethal Company, Lethal Casino update. Also, even then, you can still like there's a Steam beta branch. I'm gonna start off right now, actually. So here betas, the previous version. If you select this, then you'll get to have the previous version of the game, aka version 72 instead of version 73, which would then work with the Lethal Casino mod. This game is funny and fun, but dev needs to nerf giants and remove snail fleas, and nerfed man-eaters too, as a pro player. Yeah, you really gotta balance everything out based on the fact that he's a pro player. I don't see why the man-eaters need a nerf. and remove snail fleas? You didn't even spell it right. Snail flies. Why would you just remove snail fleas from the game? Like, so you can get them on your head, and then like if no one has a weapon, then you're kind of screwed usually. But like, come on. Dev needs to nerf giants. No, I think the giants are fine actually. Like, so they're tough to deal with. It's pretty easy to just die from a giant, but the thing with that is that you just have to, like, you know, avoid them. And also, like, sometimes use equipment like stun grenades to get past them and stuff, too. And nerf the man-eaters, I think they already, like, I don't think they need the nerf, man. You just gotta make sure that they don't form into an adult, pretty much. The other players that join public lobbies often cheat in ways that make it impossible to continue with saves. Sometimes that can happen, actually, yeah. I've had it happen a few times, but it's not common. The terminal will be placed outside the SIP, or players will no clips the map to loot and prank. Most of the time the people that join spew racist and inflammatory remarks at a constant rate using voice chats on board to say these things themselves. They leave when the game is launched, which means you only end up with 1 to 2 players instead of a full crew. This could be... what is that word? Ameliorated by allowing people to join in orbit. I did not have a good experience playing this. If you have close friends and want to play a party game in a private lobby, this is a good experience. Once again, this is kind of not on the game. To be fair, I think the game should at least be patched so that the hackers can't just, like, ruin your save files. Like, that's bad, obviously, so... Obviously, there's just gonna be trolls and stuff that just like, make your lobby worse. You're just gonna have to deal with that, really. There's no way to get rid of them. This game does have some other issues. It won't run on SteamOS and my extensive Linux, and the game's content has not seen a significant update in over a year. Again with this, like, significant update in over a year, I feel like everyone's just, like, ignoring version 70, because, like, apparently they don't see, like, such a big rework to the Mansion layout. Apparently that's not major enough for a major update. But, like, so many rooms were added, it's basically, like, a brand new layout now. Like, version 70 reworked the entire Mansion layout, version 60 added the Mindsap layout, and version 50 added like 2 maps. I think like each update has pretty much just been getting bigger and bigger. Like version 50 added 2 maps, but like a map is really just like new like spawn rates or whatever, and then like a different outside, and that's it for a new map. I also added the old bird, which is pretty epic too. But oh, and those like birds that make you fly. I forgot the name again. Version 60 was a mine shaft, which is cool, and version 70 was better mansions, pretty much. So yeah, I would have expected a new map or item by now. Okay, so I guess this guy is mainly looking for new maps. I mean, new maps are nice, but like new interior is also like nice too. I do want to see liquidation though. Liquidation would be very epic if it was added in like the next update or something. Most of the new content that players are excited about comes from the modding community. I don't really play most of those mods really, so because it's so hard to play like specifically modded content. Because you pretty much have to play with friends. There might be like Discords actually, where you can play with the randoms from that, but I don't know. Maybe I'll have to look into that. Maybe I can make like a recording of Lethal Company modded edition or something. It might be like a one-off or something, I don't know. So, I usually love this game, however the new update in PAX has broken the game to where it's unplayable. Constant crashes on our games even on vanilla. Alright, fair enough. If the game's crashing for you, then that's on the game. Personally, that's been crashing for me, so I don't know what the crashing would be for them, but it was pretty fun at first. Until I realized the gameplay loop is pretty boring and that the devs' philosophy out of game mechanics is a letdown. Boilerplate guardrails that only serve to punish players for thinking outside the box exist. Boilerplate guardrails that only serve to punish players for thinking outside the box exist. What boilerplate guardrails? I'm gonna look this up actually. Lethal Company boilerplate guardrails. One of them is okay, so I guess like in development sense, one of them is dropping baby man-eaters in a death pit makes it teleport to the interior entrance and instantly aggro it to all players. Okay, that second part is not true, by the way. Sora gets teleported back up, but it doesn't instantly aggro. Update. So I decided to test this out a bit in game on version 73. I decided to record it, which is the footage that you're seeing now, and no matter what, I could not drop the man-eater into this pit on the cave layout. Every time I just teleported to a nearby ground tile whenever I dropped it. I could, however, drop it down the elevator shaft. And it wouldn't actually get teleported at all, which is weird because that was supposedly patched back in version 62. Yet it still managed to happen again. Still though, it does not aggro onto other players as a result of this, so this part of the review is false. It's already invulnerable regardless, so it would have been cool if it was the only monster that could be killed without involving a melee. So it would have been cool if you could just drop it in a pit and then it dies. I think that would make it too easy. If you just drop it into a pit and then it dies, like that's so easy to kill. It would just become a joke. The man-eater would just be a joke. It'd be so easy to kill it. Meanwhile, glitches that hinder players, like loot spawning in walls or being dropped through wall geometry, don't get past, which almost feels purposeful. Okay, so this part is actually true. Loot sometimes spawns in walls or like dropped through like the kitchen counter, for example, and you just can't get it. Sometimes you can't get it. At least you can sometimes like clip yourself through the wall and get it like that. But yeah, that is an issue that should be fixed. It's not the biggest problem with the game. There's like bigger issues with the game besides that, and it only really happens on the Mansion or the Mine Shaft. So it only happens on that one staircase, like big room in the factory. That's pretty much the only place where it would happen now. Okay, I think that's enough for now. I've been reading reviews for 40 minutes now. Okay, so overall, the game was not just abandoned by the Sony developer. The game's last major update was a little less than 5 months ago, not a year ago, and the controls are not Sony and Janky. Endings there, so yeah, bye. Okay, I'm back, and I'm gonna be reading some meme reviews that aren't really like serious at all. So right here, if I scroll down here, I've got all these reviews. I'm mainly going to be looking at the ones when the game was popular back in 2023, early 2024. So I'm mainly going to be looking at reviews down here. So I could probably like rapid fire a few of them real quick. So, I have worked for this company for a little while. I will list the pros and cons. Pros: company supplied spaceship. Cons: that was the only pro. Cons: company does not supply any equipment, so that comes out of your own pocket. No 401k or paid time off. Company does not recognize sick days. No health, dental, or vision insurance. Failure to meet company quota results in your untimely demise. TLDR: this game is basically like working at Walmart. Yep, exactly the same. No kind of differences at all. That's the Walmart work experience right there. Scary, literally pooed. What? What kind of 5-year-old made this review? My friends keep sabotaging us. Oh no, that's the worst, isn't it? Whenever your friend sabotages your teammates, and whenever your teammate hits you over the head with a stop sign a couple extra times too many. Oh yep, never seen this one before. Not even once. Game crashes when I press Alt F4. Oh yeah, you know, that is a pretty big problem with the game. I still have that problem now, in fact, you know, whenever I press Alt F4, the game crashes. It's a real mystery, you know. My friends force me to steal the loot and they hide in the SIP. It sucks to be you! This game is a complete piece of beep. Okay, I'm not even gonna read this review. Look how ridiculous this review is. This is gonna be like the most negative review of the game I've ever seen. Okay, next review. Good game, but one issue. Me and my friends played and we exceeded the quota on the first day. This is where everything goes evil. We looked at the quota screen and it reads, "Go get a job, little N-words." We all screamed, and so did the Bacan in pure fear. Please fix this, please fix, and thank you. Cheers. Oh yeah, you know, I've had that issue too, you know, and just really weird, you know. I don't know why it's there. It was made by a furry. Ah yes, the #1 reason to hate on a game. Boo, the game scared me so bad, I beep and farted. Ignore Nil's nerd comment about how good the game is. I don't know who Nil is. When you play this, please have a heart rate monitor and standby nurse or you're dead. You know, I've never heard of a game where just playing it, like, just killed you. You got scared so bad that you just die from getting scared. You know, the only case I can think of is like just Overwatch 2, but that's just because the game is bad. If you know, you know. Land on empty planet. Go into empty building with weirdest architecture ever. Fall downstairs and die. And then curse word of some kind. Okay, so I guess this guy's very brief experience. This guy's very brief experience with the game was of just failing and dying. 0.5 hours, that's all you could put in the game? 30 minutes? This review is so obviously AI generated that's not even funny. Lethal Company, a suing indictment of Western exploitation disguised as entertainment. This has nothing to do with the game. It's just like opening up ChatGPT and then trying to write a review of Lethal Company, and then like it gets nothing right. Yeah, okay, next review. The game quickly becomes a snooze fest after the 15-hour mark. The 15-hour mark? If you get 15 hours out of a $10 game on Steam, I think that's a pretty good deal, right? 15 hours? That's like the amount of time that comes after like playing a single-player game. The 15-hour mark, it becomes boring. Like, what? You left a negative review for that. YouTube videos showing the game great, but super frustrating to play. Horrible graphics, no clear goals, confusing to navigate. On top of that is the janky, an error occurred multiplayer connection. It's a straight downgrade from Deep Rock Galactic. Oh no, it's you go to a random generated planet, collect things, leave, and repeat, but with nothing to shoot at. Instead you just run away from and dodge the monsters. Spending a good hour not reaching the quota? Too bad, now do everything over again. Who thought this was fun? Probably grinded their hours off paint dry. No unique design on each levels. It's the same boring area each time. Literally 2 hours of gameplay is enough for you to explore all the contents this game has to offer. After that, it's very repetitive. This game is completely lazily made, unpolished, unfinished, overrated with fake reviews, and deserve a refund. Save your money and buy better games. 0.2 hours, by the way. This guy played the game for 0.2 hours. How many minutes is that? No unique design on each levels. It's because you're just playing the It's because you're just playing the facility every single time, and you haven't gone to the mansions. And they're randomly generated. So, I mean, it's always going to be unique, really, but I guess no unique design is enough. It's like... The comparison of Deep Rock Galactic to Lethal Company, those games are barely similar at all. They're only similar in, like, theme. Where you, like, go to a place and then you loot it, and that's it. That's the only similarity between the two. Again with the fake reviews, quote-unquote fake reviews. That's the second time this has come up in this video. And, oh my goodness, okay. Next review. It's pretty much just streamer bait with an abominable community to boot. There's no real progression or purpose to anything. You go in, you collect random items, you usually die, and repeat. You know, I can make any game sound bad like that. Oh, in Mario, all you do is just complete the level and repeat. In Legend of Zelda, you just complete the dungeon and repeat. Like, it's the stuff that happens along the way that makes the game interesting. There are several useless items. Useless? Yeah, okay. You can purchase, but it's all lost if you get fired or wipe anyway. Because there's gonna be consequences for dying. And there's more to this negative review that I'm not even gonna read, but you can read it if you pause the video, I guess. Next review. This one just says, Product refunded. Game made my balls explode. I have been touched, killed, left to die, sold to the company. This game deeply disgusted me when I found out that the monsters had no clothing and were nude. Me and my kids were frightened. Please remove all the naked creatures so the game can be more kid-friendly. I hope this guy's joking. This one was edited like a day later. But it says, alright, got the refund. I hate the fact I'm supporting a small business, one person who created the game. I much rather enjoy capitalism and monopolies. Okay, this is going to be the last review coming up. The Great Asset Song or new game isn't long enough. I'll update my review when it's full length. Edit. It's still not full length. Honestly makes it new and playable. A shame, really. It has 10 out of 10 gameplay otherwise. I'll update my review when it's full length. Edit. It's still not full length. Yeah, okay. Wait a second. Edit 2. I accidentally downloaded a mod that replaced Great Assets Greatest Hits with some nerds' awful voice acting and sleuthing through 180 plus mods to try to get the banger back. Put me in the psych ward. Otherwise, had I more hours by now. Still can't recommend though, as I don't believe it's yet been made full length. Alright, that's all the reviews for real this time. That's really it. I don't know how to end this video off, but that was a pretty good time. By the time that I'm going to be uploading this video, this is going to be the 2-year anniversary of the game. That's very epic. There might be a 2-year anniversary update, I still don't know yet. But, yeah. Oh, and Welcome to the Dog Place is going to be releasing on October 24th, so the day after the 1-year anniversary. I feel like that's just not a coincidence, you know. So yeah, I'm going to be ending the video off here. Bye-bye.